Hey guys, Zan here. Today I'll be exploring Mumbai, India on a private day tour booked through Klook for 114 Singapore dollars. The tour will cover the ancient Kanheri Caves, the city's open-air laundromat, Dhobi Ghat, Gandhi's former residence, Banganga Lake, Gateway of India, the Mahal Palace Hotel, and lastly Crawford Market. Why Mumbai, you ask? Well, back in June 2022, India was the cheapest destination in terms of miles that featured Singapore Airlines first-class suites, which can only be found on board their A380. So the choice was between Mumbai and New Delhi. The title of cheapest suites redemption has since returned to Hong Kong at just 45,000 miles one way. While I had originally intended to relax in the hotel, since I was already in town, I decided to make the most of my time here. First stop, Sanjay Gandhi National Park, to visit the ancient ruins of the Kanheri Caves. Only those who live within the park grounds are permitted to drive their vehicles into this national park, so my guide and I had to make the journey by public bus. One non-air-conditioned and bumpy bus ride later, we arrived at the ruins, carved into the mountainside. The ruins bore the scars of centuries of erosion. However, the sheltered areas were still relatively well preserved. With the towering statues and figures, I felt as though I had been teleported to Egypt. It is truly incredible how structures carved thousands of years ago can still survive to this day. A word of advice, wear sensible shoes or you will have a hard time traversing the grounds. For the journey back to the city, we took a tuk-tuk to the train station to catch a public train. The driver headed back to the city ahead of us to avoid the rush hour traffic. This was an opportunity to experience what it was like commuting as a local. Contrary to popular belief, you might have noticed that no one is riding atop the trains. Apparently, this practice was halted some years back. The train carriages are not air-conditioned, and the doors stay open even while the train is moving. There were also a disturbing number of handholds that hinted at how crowded the train can get during rush hour. My guide told me that during peak hours, it was not uncommon to see people hanging outside the open doors just to hitch a ride. In the heat, the train ride felt like an eternity and made me appreciate the efficient and air-conditioned trains we have in Singapore. Speaking of the heat, as luck would have it, I had apparently arrived between the dry and rainy seasons, so I actually enjoyed the best of both worlds. The temperature wasn't scorching hot, and the torrential rains were just getting started. I guess in either scenario, the train ride could have been worse. We got off the train at Dhobi Ghat, the largest open-air laundromat in Mumbai. This is a communal business where generations of families clean, wash and dry the city's laundry, from companies like hotels to even hospitals. By then, it was lunchtime and I wanted to try a local eatery. My guide brought me to this literal hole-in-the-wall eatery, which served up local favorites like pav bhaji. Our driver picked us up and soon we were on our way to see Gandhi's former residence turned museum. Next, we headed up a hill to Banganga Lake. According to my guide, the locals believe the most sacred river is the Ganges, and that a typical funeral would involve throwing the ashes of the deceased into the river. Geographically, Mumbai is nowhere near the Ganges, so this water bath and temple were built to fulfill the same ritualistic needs. Next, as we made our way to the Gateway of India and Mahal Palace Hotel, we passed the colonial-era buildings surrounding the oval Maidan field, which have since been turned into government offices. Completed in 1924, the imposing gateway was meant to commemorate the arrival of the first British monarch to visit India, King George V, in 1911. Today, it is an icon of Mumbai and often shares the spotlight with the building next to it, the Taj Mahal Hotel. Once again, we drove past the various government buildings, including the High Court of Bombay, featuring Gothic architecture from the colonial era. Our second last stop was a photo op, at the Chhatrapati Shivaji train terminal, or CST, which used to be called Victoria Terminus, another magnificent Victorian Gothic building. Lastly, we popped by Crawford Market, which dates back more than 200 years. You can find all manner of provisions and souvenirs, from a variety of fresh produce to dried fruits and nuts. With that, my tour came to an end and I was back at my hotel, the Trident Bandra Kurla, a 5-star hotel located in the Bandra Kurla Complex commercial district. My guide was surprised, as were many Uber drivers, when I mentioned I wasn't in Mumbai for business. Apparently, the go-to place for tourists was further south, around the area of the Pearl Necklace. Lead-in category room rates at the Trident were 200 Singapore dollars a night on average, comparable to other international luxury hotel chains around the Pearl Necklace district. However, I managed to snag a discount and got 3 nights for the price of 2, so it came up to $130 per night. The hotel and room were clean, and overall decor was modern, albeit heavy on the gold trim. The hotel features an infinity-edge swimming pool and a decent-sized gym. For dinner, I decided to order in using the Zomato app and had biryani, which was delicious. The next day, I had breakfast delivered to my hotel again using the Zomato app. I wasn't sure what I had ordered, but it was some sort of quesadilla with a potato filling. In the afternoon, I decided to visit one of the newest shopping malls, Geo World Drive, which happened to also be located within the Bandra Kurla complex. Uber rides are incredibly affordable here, so getting around was a breeze. Stepping into the mall, I was immediately teleported back to Singapore. This mall featured plenty of luxury outlets and a sleek air-conditioned interior. I was craving a good coffee and decided to try this Turkish baklava and coffee place. This meal came up to 15 Singapore dollars. After I was done exploring, I took another Uber to a mall further away. This mall was slightly older, but more well-known, Phoenix Marketcity. The interior was clean, but not as flashy. For dinner, I decided to have tandoori chicken at the food court. The chicken was incredible, tender and flavorful. With my belly filled, I took an Uber back to the hotel for my last night. On my last morning in Mumbai, I decided to try the hotel's breakfast buffet. While there was a decent variety and attentive service, the breakfast buffet was rather pricey at 30 Singapore dollars. But I guess for most business travelers, this expense would be just fine. With that, my short stay in Mumbai had come to an end. Coming up next, my flight back to Singapore on Singapore Airlines A380 in business class. If you enjoyed this video, why not drop a like and subscribe to stay tuned for more travel content. Take care and I'll see you in the next one.